Nikko is a town at the entrance to Nikko National Park, most famous for Toshogu, Japan's most lavishly decorated shrine, and the mausoleum of Tokugawa Ieyasu, the founder of the Tokugawa shogunate. Nikko had been a center of Shinto and Buddhist mountain worship for many centuries before Toshogu was built in the 1600s. It is a popular destination for both pilgrims and tourists. During the summer, Tokyoites make the 110-minute trip by direct train to escape the notoriously hot and humid conditions of the city. Lake Chizenji is located at an altitude of 1,269 meters, and the lake provides a fresh breeze even on the hottest August days. Though its climate is certainly not the only reason making it worth a visit, the scenery is always breathtaking. But, first, you have to get there. Shortly behind Nikko City, the Irohazaka starts. That's the hairpin curving, serpentine road that leads up to the lake. Today, the up and the down parts of the Irohazaka are separate, providing for one-way roads each way. The upward road is wider and quite easy to drive, while the downward part demands a serious foot on the brake and some caution. Each curve is marked by a number, 20 on the ascent, 28 on the descent, and a Japanese hiragana letter. The number of the curves comes to 48, the same as the number of letters in the hiragana alphabet. The letters are ordered in the way of the ancient Iroha poem, which uses all hiragana letters exactly once. Thus, the road is named Irohazaka, or Iroha Slope.
I'm into you, yeah, I'm so into you, 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 I'm so into you.
Upon reaching Lake Chizenji, Keigon Falls is the first attraction you will encounter. With a height of 97 meters, they are listed as one of Japan's top 3 waterfalls. There are several vantage points from which to see their splendor. Taking an elevator down to a lower platform usually provides the best view of the falls. Conspicuously absent from signage and literature is its more recent tragic history. In 1903, a 16-year-old Tokyo high school student committed suicide by jumping down the falls. Before he jumped, though, he carved a well-thought-out romantic poem into a tree trunk right above the falls. Having been the son of a high-ranking family and a student at the prestigious Tokyo Imperial University, the press covered the incident in detail, reprinting his poem over and over again. During the following decade, 200 more young people followed his example, to their deaths. Surprisingly, access to the top of the falls is still open. Chuzenji Temple is a major Buddhist temple on the east side of Lake Chuzenji in Nikko's Okiniko region. The lake actually takes its name from the temple, which was founded in the year 784 by the priest Shodo Shonin. Shodo Shonin was a pioneer who opened up the Nikko area, and he also founded Nikko's Rennoji Temple and Fudoraisen Jinja Shrine. The principal object of worship in this temple is a 6-meter-high statue of the Kannon, the goddess of mercy, which has been carved from a tree. According to legend, Shodo Shonin was taking a boat across the lake when he had a vision of the goddess of mercy rising above the lake's waters. On reaching land, he immediately carved a statue of what he had seen from a katsura tree standing on the shore, and this is the statue that is kept in the temple today. For this reason, the statue is called Tachiki Kannon, which means standing tree cannon. The temple itself is also sometimes called Tachiki Kannon out of respect for the statue. Originally, the temple was located closer to the holy mountain of Mount Nantai, but in 1902, a terrible storm caused a landslide which caused major damage to the temple and washed the Tachiki Kannon statue into the lake. After 3 days, the statue was found floating on the lake, and then the temple was rebuilt in its current location. For this reason, people pray to this statue for help in overcoming hardships and disasters. In 1870, Dr. James C. Hepburn, an American medical missionary, visited Nikko and stayed at the house of Zenichiro Kanaya, who was a member of the Gaku Orchestra of the Toshogu Shrine. Foreseeing an increase in the number of foreign tourists to Nikko, Dr. Hepburn suggested that Kanaya open a hotel for foreigners. Following Hepburn's advice, Zenichiro remodeled his house and opened Kanaya Cottage in 1873. Kanaya's house was originally a residence of samurai warriors during the Edo period. For its unique architectural characteristics, Kanaya Cottage was called Samurai House by its foreign guests. In 1878, Isabella Bird, an English explorer, visited Nikko on her way to the northern Japan. She stayed at Kanaya Cottage for 12 days. In her travelogue Unbeaten Tracks in Japan, she expressed her satisfaction with Nikko, Kanaya Cottage and the service provided to her. She traveled much of the northern regions of Japan, chronicling the sights and customs of the real Japan. Professor Konosaka says, from nature to people, society, and culture, Bird richly depicted the distinctive and inherent qualities she perceived in her observations. That is the most captivating thing about her travelogue. In 1893, Zenichiro relocated his business and opened Kanaya Hotel on the top of the hill that overlooks the river Daya. It was Japan's first full-fledged Western-style resort hotel and has been in operation at the same place to date. While Japan has undergone dramatic changes over the years, Kanaya Hotel has followed in the footsteps of its founder and upheld its tradition with pride. The original house is not only valuable as the birthplace of Japan's oldest resort hotel, but also as an architectural heritage that shows an example of samurai residence. It has been well preserved for over 120 years after it ended its role as a lodging. The room where Isabella Bird stayed in 1878 remains almost the same as it was then. The house takes visitors back into the old days in Japan. From Unbeaten Tracks in Japan, by Isabella Lucy Bird. Ida was long away, and the coolies kept addressing me in Japanese, which made me feel helpless and solitary, and eventually they shouldered my baggage, and, descending a flight of steps, we crossed the river by the secular bridge, and shortly met my host, Kanaya, a very bright, pleasant-looking man, who bowed nearly to the earth. I don't know what to write about my lodging. It is a Japanese idyll. There is nothing within or without which does not please the eye, and, after the din of yadoyas, its silence, musical with the dash of waters and the twitter of birds, is truly refreshing. It is a simple, but irregular, two-storied pavilion, standing on a stone-faced terrace approached by a flight of stone steps. The garden is well laid out, and, as peonies, irises, and azaleas are now in blossom, it is very bright. The mountain, with its lower part covered with red azaleas, rises just behind, and a stream which tumbles down it supplies the house with water, both cold and pure, and another, after forming a miniature cascade, passes under the house and through a fish pond with rocky islets into the river below. I have been at Nikko for 9 days, and am therefore entitled to use the word kekkyo. It's just fine. Nikko means sunny splendor, and its beauties are celebrated in poetry and art all over Japan. Mountains for a great part of the year clothed or patched with snow, piled in great ranges round Nantaisen, their monarch, worshipped as a god, forests of magnificent timber, ravines and passes scarcely explored, dark green lakes sleeping in endless serenity, the deep abyss of Keigon, into which the waters of Chizenji plunge from a height of 250 feet.